In today's video, we'll be making a card. It's an easy Brewed for You bookmark card. And I'll show you a way that you can change it up a bit because that Brewed for You stamp set is actually intended for beers and wine. But I'll show you another way that you can just change it up by changing the color and adapting it to someone perhaps younger than the drinking age of 21. So let's get started. So we'll be making a version of this card. It's an easy Brewed for You bookmark card. The stamp set and dies that I used on this are from the Honeybee Home stamp set and dies. Although the paper is no longer available, you can still get the dies and the stamp set. So when you take out the bookmark, I've got this cute little bumblebee on here, and I use the Ladybug Builder Punch to make the bumblebee. And the way I did that is I punched out the bumblebee body using the silver and gold designer series paper that we had during celebration, and I colored it with my Stampin' Write markers in basic gray, which is almost like a black, and then also Daffodil Delight. I cut the wings from the from vellum, and then I added some Wink of Stella on that just for a little shimmer. So really cute. And as I said, this was for a library class that I have upcoming. We'll be making this card. And I decorated the inside. For today's card, we will be using two stamp sets. We're using Brewed for You, and also He's All That. I'll be using the Hello Handsome sentiment from that. And Brewed for You, we'll be using the glass. This, which is supposed to be the liquid, either the beer, or I'm going to show you how to make this for a younger person under the age of 21. We'll be using, instead of the Daffodil Delight for the beer, we'll be using Soft Sway to make it look like Coke or Diet Coke, or Pepsi, I guess. And we'll be using the matching dies. I'll be using the glass that cuts out the glass here, and then also this other die here that reminds me of an artichoke. If anyone out there knows what this is, please let me know in the comments. Maybe it's not an artichoke, maybe it's what they use for hops, I guess, to make the beer. Not sure, not a beer maker, so I don't know. But those sets can be found in the annual catalog. He's the Man is a suite, and it includes the paper, the stamp set, the dies, and also these rustic metallic adhesive back dots. Brewed for You, and that's on page 79. Brewed for You is a stamp set, and it includes the dies when you purchase the bundle. And that can be found on page 83. When you turn to the back of the catalog, you will find the Ladybug Builder Punch, which will be found on page 154. We'll also be using this double oval punch, which is also found on page 154. The nice thing about the Stampin' Up! Catalog, how it's organized, is so they have all the punches in one area here. We've got the bundles, the dies, and the stamp sets on another section. And then you've got the ribbons, the papers, and all that other stuff. When you look through the beginning pages of the catalog, they show examples of cards that they've made with the paper, the stamp, the ink, and the dies. So very nice the way it's set up. Today, I'll be using Starry Sky for my card base, which measures 5.5 by 8.5, so it's a standard A2 size. I scored it down the middle at 4.25. I also have a piece of basic white, which is cut 4 inches by 5.25. That will be for the inside. We'll do some stamping on that in a second. I have another piece of basic white, and this is just a scrap. I'll be stamping the glass on here. And then I'll show you a cool technique to make the glass actually look like glass. It's really neat. And something you guys probably have on hand. And then these next two pieces, I have the In Color Designer Series paper. This comes in a pack of 40 sheets, and it comes in the In Colors. So we're using the Starry Sky. There's also Tahitian Tide, Parakeet Party, Sweet Sorbet, and Orchid Oasis. This piece here will be going on the front. We're going to be cutting this on an angle. I'll show you that in a second. But this piece is 2 inches by 5.25. I'm sorry, 2 inches by 5 inches. This piece here is 2 inches by 5.25. Then we have the pocket, and this piece measures, where's my little cheat sheet? This is 4.5 by 5.25, and I scored it down the middle at 2.25. And the Designer Series paper that goes on the outside, that's 2 inches by 5 inches. And then lastly, we have the parts for the bookmark, which are 1 7/8 by 5 1/8. Now I actually cut this down to 5 1/16 because I wanted to have equal borders around the 3 edges. And then lastly, the Designer Series paper that will go on top is 1 3/4 by 5 inches. And I have a piece of Misty Moonlight ribbon, which is retired. This retired May 4th when we got the new In Colors. I haven't purchased any new In Color ribbon yet, so that's why I took this piece, which kind of matches. And then lastly, well, not lastly, but I did cut out 2 parts here from using the double oval punch. One is cut out from the Designer Series paper, glimmer paper. It comes in a pack of 6 by 6, and I think there's 20 sheets in here, 1 of each color. This is basic white. That's what I will stamp my sentiment on. And lastly, I have just a scrap piece of glimmer paper, Designer Series glimmer paper, which is 6 by 6. That also comes from that same pack. And I'll be cutting the artichokes out of here. So, all right, let's set that aside. Set a few pieces aside. What I want to do first is I want to do my stamping, and then we'll get that out of the way, then we can start putting this together. Since I'm using photopolymer stamps, I need my stamping pierce mat. And let's see, so we'll do the inside first. And since we're making this for a younger person, someone who's not of drinking age yet, I decided that we'll make this into a glass of, like I said, either Coke or Pepsi, depending on what you like to drink. We don't drink soda in my house, so those probably wouldn't work for us. But we're all, well, except for my son. My son's only 20 years old, so he's not drinking age yet. Actually, I think I overstamped that a little. So let me grab a piece of scrap paper here. Oh, that wasn't too bad. It just looks so dark on there. All right. Tap, tap, tap. And I'm using Memento Black. And I'll stamp this right in the corner. So then there's plenty of room around the other side to put a sentiment if you like, or write a nice message. And while I'm doing that. Let's stamp the 3. I'll do 1 in the Daffodil Delight so that you can see the difference between, you know, so when you're making, if you wanted to make it as a beer or if you want to make it as soda. And depending on what part of the nation you're from, you may call it pop. I know that my mother-in-law, my in-laws who live in upstate New York, which, you know, some people don't consider where I live upstate New York, but it's not Manhattan or the city or the 5 boroughs, so to me that's upstate New York. Would probably say that we don't live in upstate New York. Let's clean this off quickly with my chamois. I like to clean my stamps right away. I don't like them staining, although when you're using reds, oranges, and I noticed even some browns tend to stain those photopolymer stamps. All right, so now we're going to do the inside with the soft suede. And then we'll die cut those other pieces, but I want to show you what I did to make it look like glass. This one's not going to look like glass though, because I'm not die cutting it. This will be on the inside. So there you go. Coke or Pepsi. All right, we're going to do this one. And the other one, like a Coke or Pepsi. And then the last one, which I probably should have done the Daffodil Delight first, but I didn't. The last one, we'll do it in Daffodil Delight, and you'll see the difference where it looks like either Coke, you know, some soda or soda pop, or it looks like beer. And depending on what type of beer you like or the recipient might like, I mean, you can totally use the dark color for beer. I personally prefer the darker ales. I don't know what's on my paper there. So that would be perfect for me. Now watch this. Just by changing that color, now it becomes an adult beverage. See that? Pretty cool. And there is foam that you can put on here. There's a die cut that cuts out the foam, so you can certainly do that. I think we're done with all the stamping. Now we have one more to do. I have the sentiment, so let me just do that right now while it's out, and then we can put the inks away. All right, we're going to stamp that on here, and because I'm using a red rubber stamp, I don't need the cushion as I would need for the photopolymer stamps. Stamp that right in the center. Perfect. Perfect. Wipe that down. And we'll start assembling this card soon. Okay. I'll set that aside for just a minute. So now I'm going to bring in the handy dandy packing tape. So this is just clear packing tape. And what I'm going to do is place it over these glasses that I just stamped to make it look like real glasses. Drinking glasses, that is, not eyeglasses, of course. Let's see if I cut enough. I think I did. Just line that up and press down. my paper cutter for a minute. And let's bring the stamping cutting machine here out. Lay this down and get my dies out. So this is the foam that it would cut out. There's a little one and then there's the bigger one for the bigger mug. You can also use the foam. It's I think it was intended for snow, that came with the Kindest Gnomes stamp set and suite. Actually, when you purchase it as a suite, you get the snow. All right, let's see. I'll put a piece of tape on here because my plates are so warped that the slightest movement sends the dies moving. Do that. I have that scrap paper I like to put on top because as I said, my plates are so warped and they've got other stuff on it that I don't want it to transfer on my actual project. Sorry about the reach. I don't know if you saw that. But I was moving my tape dispenser because otherwise it would have smacked right into it and knocked it off the table. And that would have made a loud sound. We don't want that. All right, so we're not using this one, but that's your beer. And as you can see, I didn't cut properly, so there's too much white here. So later on, I'll use this on another card and we'll cut that off. We'll set that aside and we'll do the other two. Hopefully these come out better. I wonder if it's moving because of the tape. You know, it's a little slippery. It doesn't grip very well. So I may have to use two pieces. Yeah, I think that's what the problem is. So let's try to adhere this directly to the plate. I've been using my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine so much lately. I typically tend to buy the dies. If a stamp set has the dies that match, I always mostly purchase the dies because I don't like to fussy cut. Yeah, that one came out much better. All right, and then we'll do the third one. And then we'll cut those artichokes, or whatever they are. I really don't know what they are. Like I said, if somebody knows what they are, leave me a comment. Let me know what they are. And speaking of leaving comments, while you're at it, if you like what I've been sharing with you, my cards, tutorials, be sure to hit that like button, which is right below the video. It's a thumbs up. And if you're not a subscriber to my channel, I'd love to have you as a new subscriber. I try to upload videos every Tuesday morning. And I appreciate you watching. It helps me bring you more content, and, you know, leave me comments. Let me know what you like to see also. I love to hear your ideas. If you're not a subscriber to my email newsletter, you can click the button below the video in the description and you can sign up for the newsletter. All right, let's cut those artichokes now. Now I have adhesive paper on the back here already, and then we'll do that. the artichokes. We'll cut the artichokes out of the glimmer paper. And the reason there's a little of the not Night of Navy, the what is it called? What is that color called? Starry Sky down here is because the sheet of paper that I had, the adhesive sheet, was a little too big. So I didn't want to lose the backing, so I just kind of threw a little piece of scrap paper there. And that's why you got the two colors. And we'll cut out 5 of these. So I will speed up the process, but I'll just show you the first one. Actually, you won't be able to see the first one because I need to poke it out. Where's my pokey tool? So this is my Take Your Pick tool, and it has a putty side. It has a flat spatula, and when you twist this, it comes out, put it back in, and you've got your pokey tool. And that's what I use to poke out these little pieces here. And on the dies, there's little dots, and that's how it pokes out the entire die cut. And then I'll poke those other pieces out, but you don't need to see that. So let's cut 4 more. We'll speed this up. I had to finish cutting those off camera because it was taking a lot longer than I wanted it to take, and that you should be looking at. So anyway, here are the cut pieces. So don't they look like artichokes? I think they do. All right, let's start putting the card together. I'm going to start with the inner part. I'm just using Stampin' Seal for this. There's my silicone mat, so I don't get any sticky part on my surface. I feel like these little green pieces are all over the place now. Just want to be careful they don't transfer onto my card. Center that. And I've got glue on here. I love this little eraser. It's great for taking off glue marks. So that's that. And then next, I want to put this on the front again. I'm just using seal for that. You can use any adhesive you want. Certainly if you have tear and tape, that works as well. Liquid glue. Normally I tend to use liquid glue, but this was handy. And I figured it's going on pretty straight, so I don't need too much wiggle room. So I'll try to get it on as straight as possible. That. Next, let's put the bookmark together. And I'm using Orchid Oasis for the bookmark and Starry Sky for the rest of the card. I think I failed to mention that. So put a little tape on here as well. So I mentioned the catalog earlier. If you don't have a catalog and you'd like one, I would love to send you one. If you're obviously if you're not working with another demonstrator, if you are, then I'm pretty sure you don't want 2 catalogs. But what's nice about the catalogs is, which you can also get online, but sometimes you want to turn those pages, and like I have it marked off with you know what I should have done? Hang on a second. Hang on. Oh dear. This is why I should have used liquid glue. I'm going to put a little tape down the center here because we're going to be cutting off the top with my fancy topper punch. All right. So going back to the catalog. If you don't have a demonstrator, I would love to earn your business. You can get my contact information either below the video in the description, or it will be shown on the screen. So you can either send me an email or you can shop on my website. All right, just lining that up, and it's going through designer series paper and cardstock, so it's going to be a little harder. Not too bad though. Oh, that little piece went. So we got a little topper here, and I'm just using, I think it's about a 6-inch piece of ribbon. I'll probably be trimming some of it anyway, so it doesn't, but 6 inches is a good start. You always want to have a little more, because you can cut off, but you can't add on to. So we'll just loop that through the back and then tie it in the front. Get them both in there. All right. And then I'll trim it down. I've got my ribbon scissors in here. So we'll give it a nice trim. And we'll go the other way. Like so. All right, so that's done. Let's decorate this. Actually, let's not decorate that. We'll do the decorating all at once. All right, let's move this. We'll put this aside for now and the card aside as well. Next, what I want to do is I want to measure from, will be the front. I want to measure from the bottom part over here on the, what is it, the 4.5 inch side. I'm going to measure 2¼ inches from the bottom, and I'll place a tick mark there with a pencil, and then we'll erase it later. So at the 2¼ inch mark, I just move that around there. And I want to cut this on an angle, on the diagonal. So I will put this in my track here, lining up with the, let me zoom in a little bit and bring that down. So I want to go line up the score line here and turn the card base until the dot that I made with my pencil and the score line line up fairly decent. When you're happy, you can cut. And you have a little triangle, and we'll just erase that tick mark there. All right, next, you want to do the same for the piece that measures 2 inches by 5 inches. Now, what I found was easier is to line it up where you want it to be. Then you'll take your ruler, line that up. You know, and this it is not an exact science, so if it's not perfect, it's not going to be the end of the world. And then I drew a line where I want to cut. Now it's going to be hard for you to see the line because it's on dark paper, but I can see it, and that's all that matters. All right, so we'll take that, doing the same thing again. We're going to line up the top of that mark, the line, with the bottom part and put that in the track. Place it down and cut. Now we have another triangle. All right, we're done with the paper trimmer now. I just want to erase this mark so I don't forget to erase it afterwards. It's probably much easier to erase it now before I glue it down. So this is getting glued on here, and I will be using my liquid glue. Now, this bottle is not something that Stampin' Up! Sells. Let me zoom back out again. I forgot to do that. I buy them from Amazon in packs of 5. I like to use these at my workshops, my classes in home, and also at the library. It just makes it easier. A lot of the ladies have a little difficulty. They don't care for the green glue because it's sticky, but I found that with this tip, it's fine, and it makes it much easier to apply the glue, so you're not gooshing out. And for somebody who may be a newbie, these are perfect. So what I do is I take my Tombow liquid glue, my mono liquid glue, the green glue, open it up, pour it in. You can get about 2 of these bottles, 1 3/4 maybe, inside one of these bottles. So they hold quite a bit, and they last pretty long. So I like them. I'll link the ones that I use in the description below the video if you're interested. All right, so we're going to apply this. Where's my silicone mat? We're going to need that now. Again, I want to apply a thin bead so that it doesn't ooze out. On the sides. And that's the other reason I like this, is because it has that needle point. It's much easier. Now, Stampin' Up! Does sell a glue like that. I didn't really care for it much. I found it difficult to use, mostly because I couldn't get, so it's more like a pin that goes into the bottle. I could never get that pin to go in properly. So that's why I don't use that one, but I did find these and I like them. And then we'll apply on the bottom. So this is the pocket of the bookmark holder, and you just want a thin bead right along the bottom edge and the Well, now it's on the right, but once you flip it over, it'll be on the left. So that creates the pocket for the bookmark. And then we'll put this on the front. And I'm going to use the liquid glue again. I also find that the liquid glue has better adhesion, especially for something like this where it's a little bulky. You want to make sure it doesn't come up. And the silicone craft sheet is nice because the glue dries up on there and then you can just peel it right off. All right. So far, so good. All right, let's decorate our bookmark. I'm going to cut a little bit off of the sides here. Where are my other scissors? Okay, I don't have them in here. Well, I guess we're going to use the, you know, I'll be right back. I'll get the others. I am back. All right, so we're just going to cut around. I left a little too much white on here. Y'all know how I love to fussy cut. So, and doing this on camera is probably not the best for me. So bear with me. There we go, that's one. Much better. And let's do the other one as well. You know what, we're gonna leave the other one, it looks fine. All right, so let me put these down first. My little artichokes. And what's nice about the adhesive backing is that after you die cut, most of the pieces come out right away. Well, you might get that little lagger behind. But we'll put one here. And then we'll put another one on the other side. And then I want to lay the glass right there in the center. So I want to put one going up that way. Make sure I got all the pieces. Nope, we got one little piece sticking behind. And you don't want to make this part too bulky because it is a bookmark. So we'll just glue that down. Right about there. And that's the bookmark. Cool, right? All right, so now that this is dry, we can slide that in. Make sure it fits perfectly. Good. It is peeking through a little, but that's okay. All right, now we'll do the other side. So I'm going to do very similar. One here, one here when I can grab it. And then we're going to pop that up here. And then we'll put our sentiment. Let me glue this together right now before, so then it has time to dry. And I'm only going to put this on the top part. Because I only want a little peeking through, kind of like a shadow. So that will have a minute to dry. Let's put this on. Just like, you know, there it is. Could use that needlepoint glue for this, which really on video might have been easier. You ever feel like you're all thumbs? Yeah, that's me right now. Poke out that last piece. Oh, these things. So we'll put one about here. I have another little piece stuck on my finger. Sometimes it comes off very easily, just like that. And then other times I'm sitting there struggling to take it off. Like that one. That came off easily, but then that little piece, and it got stuck in my nail. There we go. All right. And then we'll put this one down here, like so. I'll put dimensionals on the glass. I think 3 should do it. So there, and then we'll add dimensionals here. Right on the one side, on the right side, we're going to add a few dimensionals. I think 3 should be good. We'll see, might be too much. And then the other side, I'll put glue on it, since that's laying flat. Let's take the backing off of here. Sometimes if you flick it, it makes it much easier to get those backing pieces off. Add a little glue on the other side. So, and then we'll add this to where? Should we do that? Oh, nah, I don't like it there. I think we'll put it underneath here. We'll add a couple of matte decorative dots in our ink color. Looks like I've been using a lot of the Starry Sky and the Orchid Oasis, but I don't think I've used, no, I haven't, the Sweet Sorbet. Looks like we're gonna have to add some sweet sorbets. All right, so let's add a couple of these just on the card front. I think I'll add one there. And we'll add another little one right here. That aside. And that's our card. What do you think? Did you like it? If you did, give me a thumbs up on YouTube. And if you're not a subscriber, I would love to have you subscribe to my channel. It's Stamping Simply with Maria. And I upload videos every Tuesday morning. And next week, I will be featuring this card. And something similar to this card we'll be making. So come back. Make sure you subscribe so that you're notified each time I upload a new video. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day. Bye.